Good.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. We are.
It's unbalanced on this side, so I'm going to come to the left.
Help yourself.
I've never been to the left on any issue, but here I go. There you go.
Thank you all for being here. If we'll just pause for one moment. Okay. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the privilege of coming to this Capitol and doing the people's business. We ask you to guide and direct us. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. First off, we have our Senate Resolution 954, and I believe Representative Donahue, you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I bring before you SR 954, our annual synopsis and easements. And we have here substitute. And I'm going to turn over pretty much, present to you. And Frank Smith will tell you a little bit of summary of what we're doing.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. You should have a synopsis in your package. And if you'll turn to the last page, it addresses the House Committee substitute. This is one easement addition in 5 counties for Sable Trail transmission. It's a natural gas pipeline, which a easement would be conveyed for fair market value in each of these counties. This is being added at this point because the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission recently approved this project. And it's our understanding that if opposed, the state of Georgia could impose litigation costs north of 7 figures. In addition, the Department of Natural Resources Board has reviewed and worked with Sable Trail, and the board has approved this pipeline. So with that, Madam Chair and members, would ask your favorable consideration.
Let me let you know this is LC 40 1174S.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. I was going to ask. At this time, I'll ask for a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move that SR 954 LC 40 1174S receive the due pass recommendation.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. I believe the ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I bring to you a substitute Senate Resolution 955, LC number 440147S. And this is our annual conveyance and synopsis. And pretty much everything is in here. We've gone over with each person involved, and we have nothing that basically, no grievances, I guess. You want to explain this? I'll let Frank kind of go over this one.
Sure. Again, Madam Chair and members, I'll do the same thing. You again have a synopsis in your package. And on the second page, it begins the House Committee substitute. There are 3 additions in the House version. The first one in Barrow County, this is a ground lease at Fort Yargo, an additional 102 acres for 25 years. This is to build and construct recreational facilities for community use. The second item in Evans County, 6.88 acres at Ogeechee Technical College. This is surplus property to be conveyed back to the Economic Development Authority of Claxton, Evans County. And then finally, the conveyance of a leasehold interest in the state's hangar at Fulton County Airport. It's about 10.8 acres. This would allow the State Properties Commission to either convey or swap for a smaller hangar. This hangar is larger than what the state's needs are. So it would allow us either just to convey or to swap for a smaller hangar. And Madam Chair, with that, ask your favorable consideration.
Representative Buckner.
I had my button depressed to ask a question about the last bill, but I wasn't recognized.
I'm sorry. But okay.
Make a motion to pass.
Thank you. Excuse me, Representative Kidd, your light's also on.
I just turned it off, but
Okay.
I'll ask a question after we vote on this.
Thank you. Then we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor, please signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Then that bill is carried. Thank you so much, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Can I make a motion?
Sure, you can make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we reconsider our action on House Bill 954 in order for members of the committee who would like to ask questions to be able to ask the questions, and knowing the vote would probably end up like it already is. But I think it would be proper for at least for the committee members to be able to ask their questions, be clarified on the issue before they vote.
I'm sorry, we did not see any, and I'd have to say we really need to let the vote stand the way it is. We maybe can speak afterwards or ask on the floor. It will be going to the floor. Okay. Next bill, I believe, is, where did he go? Representative Shaw. Representative Shaw, thank you. You were hiding. Okay, if you'll give us your number, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I bring before you House Resolution 1563. Y'all excuse my voice, the pollen, but it's bothering me. But LC 391366. This is a resolution that was brought to me by the State Board of Corrections. Mr. Kenny Boyette, who's been the long-time wood shop director at Ware State Prison in Waycross, that's in my district. A lot of us know Mr. Boyette because he's been up here a lot. A lot of the crafts and the masterpieces that he and his folks have put together over the years, a lot of those are evident around the state capitol and also in the governor's mansion. He's just an amazing individual. He retired from the local school board there after 34 years and then went to work with Ware State Prison running their wood shop. It's amazing what he's been able to do with the inmates there and just the masterpieces that they've created and what that has done for those inmates to be a part of that. So it really is great. He's got a very close relationship with all the members of the Board of Corrections. He's just a very beloved individual. He's getting a little older in age and having some health issues, so he's probably not going to be able to do it a whole lot longer, but he is still doing it. And they brought this to me. They just want to dedicate that wood shop and put it under his name as the Kenny Boyette Wood Shop at Ware State Prison. So I'm honored just to be here before you to ask for your favorable consideration and letting the board do this.
All right, Representative Buckner.
At the appropriate time, I'd like to move do pass.
Okay, just a second. I think we have, do we have one?
I'm just going to second it.
Madam Chairman. Okay. All right, we have a do pass and we have a second. You did a great job.
Well, thank you. And I just want to tell you what an honor it is to be before your committee because I just, as you know, think the world of you and we're going to miss you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Like sign.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. At this time, I believe we have a hearing. Senator Hill, thank you very much. We have Senate Bill 327. If you'll give us the LC number, please.
Do y'all have the LC number? Because I don't have the file.
Oh, yes, LC.
It's 6 places right now. At the same time.
430280.
Yep.
Okay.
And there have been no changes from the original as it was introduced. Thank you, representatives, appreciate the opportunity to come before you. This is basically a simple measure. It says that if you're a company that's boycotting Israeli products, and we're talking products that are manufactured there or products that come from there, things like HP computers, Intel. We're not talking about other things. We're also talking about that as well. Then they could not procure with, the state could not contract for the purchase of those services if they're boycotting Israeli products. You're like, what's going on? Why does this matter? Well, actually, some states are starting to make considerations like that, and there are a handful of countries in Europe that have done it. This legislation is passed in almost 24 states already, the legislation before you. So it would simply say, if you're going to boycott any basically we're looking at any country, but Israeli products, then we're not going to buy goods and services from you. So that's why I brought up companies like Hewlett-Packard and Intel and others. You're like, really? Yeah, that's really, we're serious. And so we want to be able to buy maybe computers. And I'm just mentioning just computers because those are convenient to understand and easy to understand, but there's a number of different products. If you've been to Israel, you'll understand the innovation that's going on over there. Cars, automated cars, technology, things like that that are tremendous. Batteries for electric vehicles, things like that are all, a lot of them are invented over there. So I think it's kind of a common sense bill. Is it more complex than that? No. Straightforward, pretty strong support coming out of the Senate, and hope you all would favorably consider it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We do have a question. Representative Buckner.
I'm just hogging the show today, aren't I? Yeah, that's true. I have absolutely nothing against Israel by any means, but I do have a question. Are there other countries that we are already have a boycott against with purchasing either items or doing any kind of business with that you know of?
I mean, at one point, the answer's no, but I believe if you wanted to include, like Iran, for years, the United States government prevented us from purchasing. Obviously, that's all been lifted through, if you've kept abreast, which we all have, of the news over the last several months with the nuclear arms issues and all that with Iran. But yeah, there are some state sponsors of terrorism that are listed by the United States Department of State. Department of State, excuse me. So we can't invest in federal dollars. It cannot invest. And I don't want to get on that topic, but I'll be happy to because I've been involved in it for 10 years. Georgia allows us to invest in Iran and Syria and North Korea and Sudan for pension funds, but this is nothing. This is not that bill. I'm not aware of any. In Georgia law, we don't have any preclusions of anything like this. We're saying here, if you're a company, a private company trying to sell to Georgia, you're boycotting products coming out of Israel, then you're not going to be able to do so. So we're going to put that in a contract. Standard contract takes, once it's in the contract, it's part of the standard contract. It's not a rocket science on changing it. We want to know that and have you tell us that so that we can move forward.
May I follow up, Madam Chair? So this is for products only. It would not involve our retirement system having investments? Correct.
The reason I brought that up because it's completely unrelated, but the answer to that's absolutely correct. I mean, that's other legislation. This is not a. This bill actually in other states has been a BDS bill, boycott, divestment, sanctions. We removed the divestment piece out of here because first off, our law doesn't allow us to introduce a pension fund legislation in the second year of a term, which we sit in. So this bill, looking at it, it's straightforward. It's only solely about procurement, nothing about divestment. There's nothing about pension funds, retirement, anything in there. If you've read through the legislation.
One final question. I sit on the retirement committee, and we have had several bills where they have asked us not to invest in a number of countries, and we have several that we try not to invest in already on the books in Georgia. The problem is that sometimes we invest in, or we might purchase from a company that is an American company, that we do that at the time that we make the contract, they don't have a deal with the company that would be not in compliance with this bill, and at the time they deliver, they might be in business with a company that's not in compliance with the bill, and it makes it kind of difficult for our purchasing department.
It's a different issue completely, in my view.
Well, I'm talking about purchasing, not the retirement. But it came up in retirement. They did business with a company that was purchased, and when that company was purchased, it had affiliations with some of ours that we had sanctions against. That could happen with products as well, and I'm just wondering how that would work in this situation.
I don't think it could happen here. Here's why: because the company that we'd be buying from we're asking them to state that they do not have a company policy to boycott Israeli products. So whatever they end up doing along the way, if we're just asking them to state that they don't have a company policy, it's in the legislation, to boycott products from Israel. If they choose to change that policy to say we don't buy any products from Israel, then that's different. I think there's a...
So if they don't have a policy at all, where do they fall?
Then they can't purchase from Georgia.
Okay.
So that's why this measure would be here to say, just added, paragraph 38 or whatever of the contract. By signing this agreement, you're stating that your company, you don't have a company policy to boycott products from Israel.
Thank you.
It's not about where they go buy their end product and where they got that and what they did to put all this together. We're asking them to state that their company policy is not to boycott. Thank you. Good set of questions, because they can get interrelated, and that's why, we stripped out the divestment piece for the reasons I stated, and so this is just straight. That's why the bill became a lot shorter too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chairman Chokus, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Hill, if I'm understanding this correctly, you are trying to keep any companies that we do business with from engaging or not engaging in business in Israel. Does that give them a preferred status in any way, shape, form, or fashion?
What we're saying is we want your company policy to be such. If we're gonna spend taxpayer dollars on buying from you, we want your company policy to say we're not boycotting.
Okay.
I think that's more accurate than maybe what you had stated. So, it is what it is. We want your company policy to say you're not boycotting. Add it to paragraph whatever of the state contract. Just like when they sign everything else. I'm an attorney. These contracts get very lengthy because people litigate over commas, and so but this would be another paragraph to the contract, and I'd say 99.999% of the companies that we buy from would not in that category, but.
Gotcha. May I have a follow-up question? And this would be to Frank. Has this ever happened in the past? Have we got anything in contracts dealing with procurements that requires a company that we do business with to either support or not to support, or to trade or not to trade with different countries?
I'm probably not the best one to speak to contracts. I can tell you from a property standpoint, we have nothing like that in property contracts. But as far as other contracts, I'm probably not the best one to speak to it for goods and equipment.
Okay. If I may be indulged, can I ask one last question? Okay. In our packet, we had a letter from Jewish Voice for Peace, and this letter.
I'm not aware of it, but I'm sure you've gotten information.
Let me get this to you. I'll let you look at it. And I just want you to comment on this.
They haven't read the bill. This is the anti-divestment bill. It's before you. So when they say the bill supports a boycott, divestment, sanctions movement, it's helpful when people read legislation like we do, as opposed to talk about it from the outside. That's the way I'm reading it.
I think we all have. I think everyone has a copy. Is that
Right.
correct? We all have a copy of that letter. If you'd like to take a moment to look through it.
I think the individual who wrote it is here.
Yes, I know. We'll get to that, but we still have a question on the floor. So, have you finished, Representative Perkle?
We could bring in the ambassador, the consul general from Israel too, that lives here in Atlanta, to speak in their support of the legislation, if that's helpful for the committee.
Representative Perkle.
Senator Hill, I want to thank you for bringing this bill. It is, on its face, it does appear to be a simple bill. Wow, am I really that hot? Do I need to back up some? It does appear to be a simple bill, and basically we're adding another paragraph to the contract with the state of Georgia and the company we're wanting to do business with that says, hey, you are not boycotting Israeli products or anything. Israel's been a great friend of ours for a long time, and I appreciate this bill. I just want to make sure that as another part of this contract, it will not be, well, how many Israeli products do you have in your business? It's mainly just this paragraph in here that says, that makes a statement that says we do not boycott Israeli products.
That's absolutely right, unless you have an amendment to
Thank you.
What
Thank you
said.
so much. I appreciate that.
That's it. I believe that happened actually in law. Probably what most of us, all of us, weren't old enough to know, but during the anti-apartheid issue, that was pretty typical to see measures like this in state and federal laws in the State Department at the time with that going on, and similar to this. Thank you.
Representative Workhouse.
Madam Chair, I appreciate the intent, but I guess one of my concerns in line 29, because it says the state, including all subdivisions and instruments, so this is going to apply to all cities and counties in addition to state government?
Moving forward, I've spoken to them. They just changed the contract language, like I mentioned, add another paragraph. I mean, unless you're aware of companies that are outright saying that they boycott Israel right now, I think it's a simple measure. Like I said, about 24 states have already passed this. It's happening in Europe. It's been talked about. So we're trying to be on the front end of it. I mean, I draft contracts a lot, and adding a paragraph or deleting one is simple. You get a boilerplate contract, you move forward, and I doubt we're going to have people standing up saying, you got to buy this from the state of Georgia, and we also have a strong position against Israel.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your consideration.
Because this is simply a hearing, we inadvertently had a sign-up sheet, but this is simply a hearing, so we're not voting on this bill. You'll have to come back, and at that time, we will take names of people that would like to present or address.
Do you know when your next hearing is?
The end of this week or the beginning of next week.
Okay.
Yes, right away, so we can move along.
Would you like me to bring witnesses as well, like the ambassador, if they're available?
If you're comfortable, whomever you would like to bring, but at that time, I hope that you all didn't come thinking that you were going to speak today, because we were simply having a hearing on this bill, not testimony for the bill. So if you don't mind, if the next time that we have the state properties meeting, we will be taking action.
We can fill the room if it's helpful for the committee, but I don't need to.
That's okay. We don't need to fill the room.
Literally. I mean, that's how much interest there is in the
Okay. I believe at this time, are there any other questions from any members of the committee? Anyone? No? Well, we appreciate so much your coming. I hope it didn't inconvenience you to come thinking you were going to have testimony today, but if you don't mind, we had not prepared for testimony today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, motion to adjourn? Okay. We are adjourned.